Assalamu alaikum dear students, how are you all? I hope you are fine well. So now today we discuss the fifth topic is epistemology and classical theories of epistemology. Epistemology is the main second branch of philosophy. It expresses the study of the nature and scope of knowledge and justified beliefs. It analyzes the nature of knowledge and how it relates to similar notions such as truth, belief, and justification. It also deals with the means of production of knowledge, how we gain knowledge, how to acquire knowledge, as well as skepticism about different knowledge claims. According to Plato, define knowledge as justified true belief, though where adjusted true belief is a more complete definition. The meaning of epistemology, a branch of philosophy which studies the relationship between acquisition of knowledge and the knowledge thus acquired, involve investigating the development of human knowledge, its nature and limitations. Second point is the way of knowing as well as discriminating the truth from the false and speculations. Possibility as that eliminate the false propositions. Epistemology asks questions like what is knowledge, how is knowledge acquired, what does people know, what are the necessary and sufficient conditions of knowledge, what is its structure and what are its limits. Our knowledge limit or not, what makes justified beliefs justified, how we justified our beliefs, how we are to understand the concept of justification. Is justification internal or external to one's own mind, to personal to another person? The kind of knowledge usually discussed in epistemology in propositional knowledge, knowledge that as opposed to knowledge how. For example, that the knowledge that is 2 plus 2 is equal to 4 is a pure justified equation. We do not need any addition or deduction or changes because there are a complete truth value justify the equation as opposed to the knowledge of how to go about adding two numbers, and then express the knowledge that how to go about adding two numbers. Meaning of knowledge. Knowledge is a familiarity, awareness, or understanding of someone or something, such as facts, information, description of skills, which is acquired through experience or education by perceiving, discovering, and learning. Through learning, discovering information, communicating, sensory experience, education, they are meaning of knowledge and gain knowledge. What is knowledge? Knowledge is the awareness and understanding of particular aspects of reality. It is a clear, lucid information gained through the process of reason applied to reality. We over just gain knowledge through experiences or through reason. The traditional approach is that knowledge requires three necessary and sufficient conditions so that knowledge can then be defined and justify true belief. There are two pictures defined as what is knowledge sharing, questioning, communicating, learning, topic, dialogue, education, book, study. These are based on knowledge. And the second picture is defined is that we take just any topic, processing, thinking, understanding, questioning, sharing, communication to each other. Then we analyzing, understanding the concept, and last one is that criticize how to understand what is mean. There are three categories of truth, belief, and justification. First of all, that truth, since false proposition cannot be known. If false proposition that it is false proposition for something to count as knowledge, it must actually be true. Possibly that true proposition always be true. According to Aristotle, he defines that about truth to say of something which is that it is not, or to say of something which is not that it is false. However, to say of something which is that it is, or of something which is not that it is not, is true. If you know that about something, so you saying that. If you not know, so you cannot say about that, so it's true. If you know, if you do not know about anything, so you do not tell him. So if you tell, so it's a false proposition. Belief. One, because one cannot know something that one does not even believe in the statement. I know X, but I don't believe that X is true. It's just a belief. It's just a truth. I know that, but I don't believe that X is true. It's contradictory. Belief is a psychological state in which an individual holds a proposition or premises to be true. It's based on a individual psychological statement understanding to one person to another. I know Aisha. I know Aisha's personality, but I don't believe that Aisha is a theft or any negative activity. So this is a statement is defined as a contradictory. So this is a psychological state in which an individual holds a proposition or a premises to be true. Maybe the premises to be true and conclusion not. Justification, as opposed to believing in some time thing purely as a matter of luck, is based on a luck. Know that a given proposition is true. Believe the relevant true proposition. Have a good reason for doing so. Otherwise, justification is false. Knowledge are justified true belief. S knows that P if and only if they explain the statement. S believe that P because P is true. S is justified in believing that P. The certain true belief is shown as that S knows that P if and only if S believes that P. S believe on P because S believe on P. Then P is true. So conclusion is that S is absolutely certain that P. Because first premise is strong, S believes that P. A problem it seems to lead to skepticism about knowledge, the view that we can know little or nothing. Just the main problem rises a statement. The reliable true belief is knows S knows that P, if and only if S believes that P is true S. So, conclusion is that S believes that P is a reliable indicator that P, in the circumstances, is actually in S belief that P can be caused only B, because S is a conclusion, so that P can be caused only by P. The last one is knowledge and skepticism. S knows that P if and only if S believes that P. If P were false, S would not believe that P. If P is true, S will believe that P. If you know that, if you believe that this is true, and the second point is that point, if belief is true, if belief is false, then possibility that S would not believe that P. Your belief is not a complete. So if belief is true, then possibility and justification is true. This is the definition of justification, and there are several schools of thoughts on the subject according to evidentialism. Evidentialism, it believes justify in this sense, is a process of evidence. Without evidence, you do not prove the justify your beliefs. Different varieties of reliabilism suggest that either justification is not necessary for knowledge, but provided it is a reliably produced true belief. It's just understanding true belief. Justification is required, but any reliable cognitive process, just like example, vision, you perceiving outer world, perceiving outer things, is sufficient justification. You just perceive a tree, it means that you perceive a vision of tree and cognitive process starting, that's you believe and to justify that you saw a tree. Yet another school, infallibilism, hold that a belief must not only be true and justified, but that the justification of the belief must necessitate its truth, so that the justification for the belief must be infallible. Possibility to that justification, your true and justified, not just a justification, is based on a totally truth value. Justification has two categories: externalism and internalism. Externalism hold that are external outer world, meaning outside of the psychological state of those who are gain the knowledge. Like one person and another communication can be condition of knowledge, so that if the relevant facts justifying a proposition are external, then they are acceptable. Internalism, on the other hand, claims that all knowledge yielding conditions are within the psychological states of those who gain knowledge. Externalism convert into internalism, then they are based on depend on the condition. As recently as 1963, the American philosopher Edmund Gettier called this traditional theory of knowledge into question of claiming that there are certain circumstances in which one does not have knowledge, even when all of the above conditions are met. This figure described as the truth value, truth attached with beliefs, and the central point is that knowledge. If truth and beliefs are strong, then knowledge is strong. There are situations in which one's belief may be justified and true, and yet fail to count as knowledge. If truth and beliefs not justified, then our knowledge is failed. For example, suppose that the clock on campus, which keeps accurate time and is well maintained, stopped working 11:56 p.m. last night and has yet to be repaired. On my way to my noon class, exactly 12 hours later, I glance at the clock and form the belief that the time is 11:56. My belief is true because I don't need any time or clock. So, since the time is indeed 11:56 and my belief is justified, as I have no reason, no doubt that the clock is working, and I cannot be blamed for basing beliefs about the time on what the clock says. Nonetheless, it seems evident that I do not know that the time is 11:56 or not. That is not matter for me, not important for me, because I know I justify my beliefs. My belief is true. After all that, if I had walked past the clock or bit earlier or bit later, if I entered the class late or bit later, I would have ended up with a false belief rather than a true one. So my belief turned out to false condition. How is knowledge acquired? Propositional knowledge can be of two types depending on its source: a priori, a posteriori. A priori depends on a reason without experiences, where knowledge is possible independently of or priori to an experience and requires only the use of reason. For example, knowledge of logical tools, arguments, mathematics, and or abstract things. We do not need any experiences. A priori means from the earlier it implies that a person can derive knowledge from the world without needing to experience it. Deductive reasoning form the basis for arriving conclusions. Idealism is prominent, and the second is posteriori or empirical, where knowledge is possible only subsequent or posteriori for certain sensory experience, like sensory experience, touching, smelling, taste, seeing. These are sensory experience in addition to the use of reason. Uses reason with sensory experience. You gain the knowledge or posteriori. For example, knowledge of the color, shape, design, physical object, knowledge of geographical locations. Without reason, you cannot understand and a level of design, a level of shape, color, object. So this is very important. Posteriori for this statement, uh, reason plus sense experience. They work together. A posteriori means from the later gain experience through senses and subjecting them to logical reasoning, inductive reasoning, and reflecting to drive understanding conclusion. Inductive reasoning may be true or may be false through reason, and the processing is to understanding. Last one is conclusion. Naturalists and pragmatists accept this posteriori term. A knowledge of empirical facts that about the physical world will necessarily involve perception. We just gain knowledge through perception, seeing, touching, reasoning, in other words, the use of the senses. But all knowledge requires some amount of reasoning. Not only a sensory experience, but some amount of reasoning, the analysis of idea, data, and the drawing of inferences. Because we did not, without reasoning, we did not analysis of the data and trying on inferences, what is or what is not. So intuition is often believed to be a sort of direct access of knowledge of the priori. Memory allows us to know something that we knew in the past. Memory is the main important in our reasoning method, because we knew, if we knew the in the past justifications, so we easily understand in the present time. If we no longer remember the original justification, knowledge can also be transmitted from one individual to another via testimony. That is why justification for a particular belief could amount to the fact that some trusted source has told me that it is true. For example, other person say to that, this is a chair, this is a blue color. So my belief is that yes, he said true. So one person to another person, knowledge gain, communication to each other, level proceeding, understanding level, their gain knowledge. One person to another person. Last one is there are four main theories of knowledge acquisition. Empiricism, which emphasizes the role of experience, is based on sensory experiences, especially experience based on a perceptual observations by the five senses in the formation of ideas. For my senses, what I observe through over my sensory experience of the outer world, while discounting the notion of innate ideas. Refinements of this basic principle led to phenomenalism, positivism, scientificism, and logical positivity based on empiricists. Rationalism, second point, is that which hold that knowledge is not derived from experiences, but rather is acquired by a priori process or is innate. There are uh, reason, mental property, mental state in the form of concept or intuitive. They do not need any experiences. Representationalism or indirect realism or epistemological dualism, which hold that the world we see in conscious experience is not the real world itself, but merely is a miniature virtual reality replica of that world in an internal presentation. 2 points based on epistemological dualism, like what is real, what is real through your senses, through your understanding, what is exist, what is not, through your senses, through your understanding, through your conscious experience. So these are two epistemological duals impact on reality. Constructivism, they are the last constructivism, which presupposes that all knowledge is based on constructed, just like human experiences, social experiences, human perception, communication, learning, understanding, contingent, conventional, everything. These are based on constructed, because if I started to another person to communicate to each other through just understanding of the knowledge, so my purpose is that knowledge gain knowledge, another person gain knowledge. So we are communicate to each other and understand the topic, understand the nature of reality, the nature of truth and knowledge. So all knowledge is based on constructed, how we understand, how they understand, how, what is the meaning of knowledge, what is the meaning of life, etc.